Americans, if given the choice, would like to live to be 87 years old, which is 9 years older than the current life expectancy, which is 78. Our next guest has traveled to 3 parts of the world where people do live the longest to find the secrets of longevity. Dan Buettner wrote about what he found in the new issue of National Geographic, which is available on newsstands on Friday. And Dan joins us now. Good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
So the 3 places that you found, Okinawa,
Sardinia,
and then in the United States?
In Loma Linda, California, among the 7 Adventists, and we call these blue zones.
There's a community of Seventh-day Adventists that tend to live longer there?
The highest concentration of Seventh-day Adventists live around Loma Linda, and we chose as our culture of longevity the Seventh-day Adventists. They live about 10 years longer than the average American, the ones who most strictly follow Adventist way of life.
In these 3 places that you studied, any common traits?
Well, you know, we've all heard of the Atkins diet, but the cultures of longevity are basically eat a plant-based diet. They almost avoid all meat, or they have very little meats in their diet traditionally. They also tend to be bean eaters, and they also tend to invest very heavily in family and in community. Put a huge emphasis on those 2.
All right, let me start with Okinawa.
All right.
That's the longest living population in the world?
It has the longest disability-free life expectancy in the world, so the longest, healthiest living people in the world.
Right. And what about those on Okinawa? Why?
Well, first of all, they don't have a word for retirement. They don't think of life as a time where you work and then sort of stop. They have a word called ikigai, which essentially means the reason for which you wake up in the morning. And it could be a passion for karate. It could be a passion for teaching. And it's that passion that drives them into to age 100 with vigor and vitality.
And how about community? Is there anything about community in Okinawa?
They have a word called moai, and they tend to travel through life with a little group of friends. It's sort of a mutual support network. And we found studies, we actually cite studies in the National Geographic article that show that people have at least 2 good friends they can call no matter how bad their day is. They'll tend to live longer than people who are isolated.
How about Sardinia?
Sardinia, that's the longest lived men in the world are found there. And it's not all of Sardinia, it's actually a small mountainous region that experts call the Blue Zone. And Bronze Age people live there. They tend to be also very isolated, very focused on the family. And we also know that people who invest in their family tend to have lower rates of depression, lower rates of stress, better heart health, and they also take care of their elders very well. We tend to have grandma and grandpa live elsewhere. In the Blue Zone in Sardinia, they always live with the family.
And in Loma Linda, California, you said there at the end, those who follow the Seventh-day Adventist lifestyle most closely live 10 years longer.
Yeah. They're largely vegetarian. They avoid smoking. They avoid pork. They have very strong faith. 1 day a week, no matter how busy they are, they stop everything and they focus on their God and their family. And we know from studies that people who go to church at least 4 times a month live as much as 2 years longer than people who don't. So faith is probably a good thing to have, no matter what religion you are.
There is a faith element in it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you go back and you continue to study all of these?
Yes. In fact, we're doing the BlueZones.com expedition. Next Monday, I have a team of experts back to Okinawa to flesh out their particular longevity formula. And we have American school kids actually directing this expedition on the internet. And you know, the same behaviors that get you to a healthy 80 will help get a kid to age 10 healthy and keep them from being obese. And the idea is if you can provide an experience for kids to discover things themselves.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Great
Interesting
to be here.
stuff.